Hello viewers, I hope you're all fine. In today's video we're looking at part of the central nervous system. Specifically we're looking at cranial nerves. Under this topic we're going to look at what cranial nerves are, what their functions are, all the areas they supply, how many are they. Then we also classify them under motor or sensory or mixed, or you can say both. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves that all arise from the cranial cavity of the brain and pass through different foramina in the bones of the cranium, especially at the base of the skull. All the cranial nerves are part of the peripheral nervous system, and they start arising from the nose, the eyes, the inner ear, the brainstem, and the spinal cord. Cranial nerves send impulses, electrical impulses, between the brain, face, and the torso. By torso we mean the trunk of the body. They also help in tasting, smelling, hearing, and feeling sensations. Facial expressions like eye blinking, tongue movements, they are all controlled by the cranial nerves, including showing of anger, showing of happiness, frowning the face, any other facial expression you can think about. Just know it is controlled by these cranial nerves. These nerves are either motor or sensory or mixed, where they are both motor and sensory. Next, let's look at the numbering of the cranial nerves. These nerves are numbered from first up to the 12. We all know there are 12 cranial nerves. Of course, the first one comes from the nose. The second one is from the eyes. It follows that trend up to the last cranial nerve. As we proceed with the video, we're going to find out how they are numbered, from what up to what. So we're going to start with the first cranial nerve, that is known as the olfactory nerve. Olfa means to smell. Therefore, the olfactory nerve, its prime purpose is smell. This is the first cranial nerve. It contains axons that carry impulses for olfaction. As we said, olfa means to smell, so olfaction is something to do with smell. This cranial nerve is entirely a sensory nerve. The second cranial nerve is the optic nerve. Opti means the eye or vision. This nerve contains axons that conduct impulses for vision. Like the first cranial nerve, it is also a sensory nerve. The third cranial nerve is the oculomotor nerve. Oculo means the eye, motor means mover. Therefore, the oculomotor nerve is responsible for eye movement by supplying muscles that are responsible for the movements. This is a motor nerve. Our fourth cranial nerve is the trochlear nerve. The trochlear nerve, trochlea means a pulley. This is a motor cranial nerve. This trochlear nerve supplies superior oblique muscle of the eyeball. Let's move to the fifth cranial nerve, called the trigeminal nerve. Tri means triple or three. Therefore, this nerve, the trigeminal nerve here, has three branches. It is both a motor nerve and sensory nerve, so it's a mixed nerve. The trigeminal nerve has three branches, as we said. The branches are as follows. One, we have the ophthalmic branch, we have the mandibular branch, and we have the maxillary branch. They supply the areas which are mentioned in these areas. The muscles which are there, the ophthalmic, it is about to do with the eye. The mandibular, the mandible is one of the bones of the face, so it supplies the muscles which are around that area. The same applies to maxillary. Maxilla is also one of the bones of the face. Therefore, this trigeminal nerve has a branch that supplies muscles which are within that area. The sixth cranial nerve is the abducens nerve. Ab means away, ducens means to lead. Therefore, this nerve has a component of leading something away. It is called abducens because the nerve impulses cause abduction of the eyeball. That is what we meant by the leading away. So they cause lateral rotation where they act. This is actually a motor nerve. Let's look at the seventh cranial nerve, called the facial nerve. It gets its name from where it supplies. It supplies the facial, the scalp, and the muscles of the neck. Then the lacrimal, submandibular, sublingual, nasal, and palatine glands. This nerve is both motor and sensory. Let's go to the eighth cranial nerve, or the vestibulocochlear nerve. Vestibular means a small cavity, and cochlear is like spiral. This cranial nerve was formerly called actually the auditory or acoustic nerve. It is a sensory nerve. The vestibular branch carries impulses for equilibrium, and the cochlear branch carries impulses for hearing. That is, it acts in the ear. This takes us to our ninth cranial nerve, that is the glossopharyngeal nerve. A glosso means the tongue, and the pharyngeal here means throat. Therefore, this nerve, this ninth cranial nerve, acts around the tongue and the throat. It therefore supplies the tongue and the throat. It elevates the pharynx and larynx through the stylopharyngeus muscle that it actually innervates. So this glossopharyngeal nerve supplies this muscle, stylopharyngeus muscle, that is responsible for elevation of the pharynx and the larynx. This is a both motor and sensory nerve, so it is a mixed cranial nerve. Next we go to the 10th cranial nerve. It's the 10th and the longest. The name vagus means wandering. It is both motor and sensory, therefore it's a mixed cranial nerve. It is distributed from the head and the neck into the thorax and the abdomen. Its name comes from its wide distribution. As I said, it's the longest cranial nerve. It supplies the muscles of the pharynx, the larynx, soft palate, the GI tract, respiratory tract muscles, esophagus, stomach, gallbladder, small intestine, and most of the large colon. It also supplies the cardiac muscles, the heart, the gallbladder, etc. Our 11th cranial nerve is the accessory nerve. Accessory means actually assisting. It is a motor nerve. It has been divided into two parts, the cranial accessory nerve and the spinal accessory nerve. So this nerve here supplies the sternocleidomastoid muscle and the trapezius muscle. In the next videos we're going to look at where these muscles are located, what they do, and how they do their functions. Our last cranial nerve is the hypoglossal nerve, the 12th cranial nerve. Hypo means below or under, and glossal means the tongue. Therefore, it's clear that this hypoglossal nerve has an effect on the tongue. It is a motor nerve. The nerve impulses are for swallowing and speech. This nerve supplies muscles of the tongue. Let's look at the summary of these nerves. This is how they are. We have the olfactory nerve, the first cranial nerve. Second is the optic nerve. Third is the oculomotor nerve. The fourth is the trochlear nerve. Fifth is the trigeminal nerve. Sixth is the abducens nerve. And seventh is the facial nerve. And the first two are sensory. The third and fourth are motor. The fifth is mixed. The sixth is motor. Seventh is mixed. This takes us to the eighth cranial nerve, that is the vestibular cochlear nerve. And then the ninth cranial nerve is the glossopharyngeal nerve. The 10th cranial nerve is the vagus nerve. 11th is the accessory nerve, and the last, or the 12th, is the hypoglossal. Therefore, the 8th is a sensory. 9, 10 are mixed. 11 and 12 are motor nerves. Here we have a mnemonic that helps us remember these cranial nerves in an organized manner. So I've picked the first letters of each cranial nerve, and we have allocated different words for those cranial nerves to make a complete statement that is easy to remember and that is meaningful and sensible or funny. So therefore, from all we've used O, T, T, all of them we have used them to formulate a statement. The statement, the mnemonic, goes like this: only one of the two athletes felt very good, victorious, and healthy. You can hear that. It's very easy to say, very easy to remember. Once you've mastered it, you've mastered the order of the cranial nerves. Similarly, to make it easier to remember whether these cranial nerves are sensory or motor or both, I've formulated a mnemonic using also the first letters, though I've given them different words. So roughly we have 3 sensory cranial nerves, 4 mixed cranial nerves, and 5 that are motor. So the mnemonic goes like this: some say marry money, but my brother says big brains matter most. As simple as that. Cannot even forget it. So here we have another mnemonic that goes like: Oliver operates orchards to try and free various German veterans as heroes. So you use what goes well with you. You can use this. This is like the other first one that we used for the cranial nerves, for their order. Then this is also for the whether it's sensory or motor or mixed. It also goes like this: see, send more money, Mildred. Molly missed seeing Mimi and Momo. Hello viewers, thank you so much for watching the video. Thanks for following. Thanks for being there with us. We shall be dropping a lot more videos. We have other videos that will be showing details of locations, routes, and other details of these cranial nerves. We shall put them in videos or others in shorts. Thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe for free, interesting, and simplified anatomy videos. We have plenty of videos in stock for you, for students, whether in medical, nursing, or any other health related institution. These videos are also helpful for health workers, for teachers, and everyone else who has something to do with anatomy knowledge. Thank you. See you then.